Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, I have another amazing design by Steve Good. I've already got all the pattern printed out, prepped, and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and we're going to be using all 1/2-inch plywood for the entirety of the project. And this is one of his newer designs from 2024, so please keep that in mind if you guys would like to go back in Steve's catalog and find and try this pattern for yourselves. Hopefully I do it justice and bring it to life over here on this video, but really cool. The design in question is a Southwestern Cow Skull. Now, Southwestern Cow Skulls hanging on a wall are fixtures of steak joints, or if you go to a burger place that's themed to Southwestern theming, you know, they usually have one hanging above the door, and they're very big out west in the deserts and all. You know, you see them in Western movies and everything. So I thought it would be a really cool project to make, and it's another miniature diorama, and you guys know how much I like to make those as well. And you have the whole design here in my hand. As I said, it's going to be made out of 1/2-inch plywood, and you guys know I love using 1/2-inch plywood for that nostalgia factor from when I first started scrolling. But the biggest portion is here, and that is the cow skull and outline of the skull itself, and then a piece here that will be attached to the back of this that will support it to the actual shield here, so you can see it's kind of mounted like a trophy. And then the main bulk of the scroll saw work is the cow skull's face. You have the eyes, the brow, and then the nostrils here, which will be the foremost layer. And once we get everything cut out and sanded, I don't know if I'm going to paint everything or stain it or have a mix of both to add a splash of color. We will see when we get to that portion of the video. But I wanted to show you guys how far Steve Good goes when designing and preparing these pattern packs that you download from his catalog in PDF formats. He always goes above and beyond and leaves very clear instructions. And you can see when you print it out, if you print out the full pattern pack as I've done here, there is the Scroll Saw Workshop website, there is a nice picture of Steve Good, and then there is also a completed picture of what the project will hopefully look like when we get everything cut out. Follows is usage rights that Steve Good offers, as well as print instructions, and then you have some pictures of what the project will look like once you get everything printed out and assembled. So again, Steve Good goes above and beyond with his pattern packs, and I'm really happy. And after you get through all those pages, the pattern itself will follow. And since everything is prepared, let's move the camera to the workbench, drill all of our pilot holes so we can come back to the scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here on the workbench, we're taking the Seiko scroller's drill and a small drill bit and drilling out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And you'll see that I have a backer board behind the scroll work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. And I believe there's only like 20 or so internal cuts on this project, but once we head over to the scroll saw, we will take our time and get them all cut out. Over here at the scroll saw, I am using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through all pieces of this 1/2-inch construction grade plywood exceptionally well with minimal chip out, which is always good when it comes time for sanding. Beginning here with the small details in the horns of the cow skull. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. Moving the camera here to get a little closer look of the action. We are working on the internal cuts of the shield, and it's only 3 cuts there, but then we can begin with the actual cow skull face. And here I'm doing some one-handed scrolling, as always taking my time and letting the blade do the work. And this project has some of those tight V-turns in it, and you guys know how I achieve those by running down one side of a tight point and backing it out and going in the other side. That way I can achieve as fine a point as I want. But it doesn't take long to cut this project out from start to finish. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. We are now releasing all of the pieces from the waste wood, just following that outside perimeter cut line. And with the nature of this project,
with it having layers as well as a lot of symmetry, you need to be as loyal as you can be to the cut line when cutting everything out. But we are cutting out the final piece here, which is the outline of the cow skull itself with the horns. Still using that same number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade. But once all the scroll work is done, we can head over to the workbench and remove all the pieces from the waste wood and get our first visual of how everything will look once it's assembled. And I think it looks really cool, just natural like this. But now we will go over to sanding, and I will use 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander here, and sand the front and back of each piece. And I'll be careful so as not to damage any of the scroll work. But now we can begin the initial glue up of the cow skull itself, and I'll be using medium grade CA glue and activator here. And once the CA glue sets up, it'll be time to start adding some color to our pieces. And naturally, I went with a white color for the cow skull itself, so I hung it on a hook and went to the doorway and spray painted it. And I came back and give this several coats and let it dry out in the morning sunrise. And then the backer board itself, which is the shield, we stained with a dark stain that was given to me by a family member. And I really like how this stain here brings out the natural grains of the woods I used the stain on. But we will wipe off the excess and hang it on a hook to dry. And when both pieces were completely dry, it was time to do the final glue up, which is of course gluing the skull to the shield. And I'm just eyeballing it here. But I gave it around 5 minutes after gluing it up to make sure the CA glue had completely cured. And then I took it outside in the bright summer sun and gave it several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss for a finish. And when that dried, the project was complete.
And here we have the completed miniature Southwestern Cow Skull diorama, cut out completely from start to finish over on the scroll saw, and it finished up amazingly well. Thank you, Steve Good, for another amazing design from your pattern catalog. Once again, this design is from 2024. If any of you guys watching would like to go back and try this project for yourselves and bring it to life, hopefully I have justified the pattern in today's video. It took me around 25 to 30 minutes to scroll this project out completely from start to finish at the scroll saw. It's not an overly complex design, it's just with the nature of the symmetry in it, especially the shield in the back and then the layers that make up the cow skull, you need to of course take your time and let the blade do the work and be as loyal as you can be to the cut line. And that's what I tried to do in today's video, and you can see how the layers there lined up almost seamlessly. That's just years of practice for me over at the scroll saw. Again, take your time and let the blade do the work. And I hope a project like this really shows what just basic half-inch construction grade plywood can be capable of if you take your time and work with it in a nice and respectable manner. It finished up nice here, and this is again upcycled material for me, and I love the throwback aspect for me memory-wise to go back and use half-inch plywood because it's what I originally learned on over at the scroll saw at the age of 14. But we added 2 splashes of color to this project. Obviously, as you guys can see, I painted the cow skull itself a bright white color that was Rust-Oleum spray paint, and it really brought out the details and the internal cuts of the project. And then we stained the shield in the back a nice darker color to hopefully help that cow skull pop even that much more. And that stain was given to me by a family member, and I think everything came together perfectly once we glued everything together and finished it with Rust-Oleum clear gloss. I really like how it made the grain of the 1/2 1/2-inch plywood pop and come through somewhat on the cow skull. I think it gives it a really nice southwestern and rustic vibe, so to speak. But I always feel that these multi-part scroll saw projects lend themselves to a variety of uses. I feel that you could take the shield in the back here and make that a standalone scroll saw project by cutting it out, and if you have access to a laser engraver, you could engrave a family quote or crest on it, and that could be a project. And the same can be said for the actual silhouette of the cow skull, which is this one solid piece here if you didn't cut out the internal cuts here in the horns, and you could enlarge it and make it a nice silhouette to hang on your wall. So a lot of multi-uses with scroll saw woodworking patterns, and that's why I continue to like bringing them to life over here on the platform. But really cool. As I said at the beginning, I would show you one that's been in the family for a long time, and this one here is made out of ceramics. My mom painted the one I'm about to show you back when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old maybe, and it's hung in the living room, which is now the train room, and it hangs proudly above the door, and it has that beautiful southwestern theming. And because me and my mom, on my mom's side of the family, we are part Native American, it does have a Native American Indian maiden there on the front, so we always try to represent and honor that heritage. And you can see my mom added some leather and some beads and feathers here to really dress it up to take it to that next level. And if you guys would like to see more examples of her beautiful hand-painted work here, this was all hand-painted by her, please go over to her Instagram page at Turtle Dove Ceramics. I'll have it linked down in the description box below today's videos if you guys would like to go and check out that work. But this still hangs proudly above the door to the train room that separates the train room from the next room, so to speak. So really cool. But now we have a miniature one to add to the ever-expanding diorama collection that I have been making over here on the channel. So really cool. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you guys picked up a tip or tidbit. And if you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.